see what living at Slant House had done to us. We had absconded from society, shrugged off the leaden cloak of collective expectation. The ease with which I had taken to this new life hinted at something about my true nature, some latent, unknown longing for privacy, for comfort. I was an unlikely candidate for invisibility. I came from a family of performers and artists with household names, and as soon as I was old enough to lift a violin to my chin, I started lessons, began training to perform. I'd been all around the world, and couldn't tell you anything about most cities beyond what the airports and hotel lobbies looked like. When I finally quit music, I told myself I was done traveling as well. No more jet lag and unfamiliar radio stations, no more horizons dwindling into 2 dimensions from an airplane window. Melia had never wanted to be famous either, and whenever I felt unlucky, I had to remind myself of all the things she'd lost. On those quiet evenings when it felt like the sun would never drop from the sky, when I felt hopeless and cornered, I tried to remember how very lucky we were to be there, to be alive. When I was touring the world stages, playing violin for one dark audience after another, one critic had written that my performance was wooden, wrote that the mantle of performance had been draped across my shoulders against my will, a fact made evident by the dull glint in my eye. Spoiled with little discernible talent, he had gone on. If her father weren't a famous composer, she would just be any other little girl at home playing with her dolls. That critic had been castigated by the music community, hunted by my fans and my father's famous friends. His byline disappeared from the newspaper column, and his comments gradually faded away, forgotten. Years later, after I stopped playing and my family fell apart, I still thought of that man and his appraisal of my performance. From an audience of millions, I thought, you were the only one who actually saw me. If Melia and I had met all those years ago, I doubt we would have become friends, despite common themes. We were each sheltered in our own right. We both came from wealth, old families with all the scandal and weighty lore that accompanies lineage. In the last decade, both of our families had dwindled down to spindly dregs. My mother had disappeared, while Melia's mother had been murdered. I was an only child, while Melia's brother was missing. Hunted, she sometimes said, with a sadistic gleam in her eye. But he's very good at hiding. It was something about Melia that had shocked me at first, her light-hearted jibes about her dead parents and missing brother. Gallows humor, darling, she told me. A survival mechanism. Something else we had in common. The ability to slip from a room unnoticed, to wear a mask, to fade into the background. It's how a horned lizard survives in a desert prowled by wild dogs. Lie still, close your eyes, don't breathe. Vanish. Melia flicked a spray of water toward me, startling me from my thoughts. Don't do that, Melia. Look at you, she said, so deep in thought. I never know what you're thinking about. Where do you go? I'm just tired, I said, evading the question. Nothing to worry about. I'm ready to get out, she announced. Hand me a towel. I stood and retrieved a pale blue Turkish peştemal from a hook on the wall. Melia emerged from the water, dripping, then stepped forward to examine her face in the mirror. She pressed the tips of her fingers to the shadows below her eyes. She hadn't been sleeping well lately, and it showed. I draped the towel around her shoulders, startling her out of her thoughts. You need to rest, I said. You know I can't. Try? If you insist, she said, giving me a faint smile. Good night, Rainey. See you in the morning. We had spent the night before in bed together, her body curled tight around mine. Now I was being punished for something, relegated.